Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So for this week, I am going to be doing a video that I've kind of been preparing for the past little bit. And that is I'm going to be ranking Marvel characters, superheroes. As you probably know from the title, this is not going to include Disney or Marvel villains because I feel like if I were to do a list of them, I'd do it separately. Also, if you haven't noticed, I did a bit of a background update. I have mirrors back here now, so if you see your own reflection, I'm sorry, but it's going to be back there. And then I have my poster to the side of me of Evolutions. Alright, so there are 32 different characters, and I'm not actually going to include Shanghai on this list, even though we think he's going to be a Marvel character. I'm not going to spoil that movie in any way yet, because it's fairly new. So, I'm going to wait on that one. But I have a couple things to talk about before. First off, there might be a couple spoilers from Endgame and some of the Marvel movies, but I'm pretty sure you've all seen those if you're watching this video, so just be aware of that. I also have a book down here that I'm looking off of, so if I'm looking down a lot, that's why. This is also just my opinion. Your opinion may be different, and this list is never final. It's always changing. This was super hard to do because I truly do like all the characters, so it was really hard. And this list right now may not even be accurate or will never be accurate. And another thing to note is this is based off of character design and how likable they are, not power ranking. This isn't like, oh, this is the strongest superhero list. This is who I think is the best superhero in my mind. And this is just Marvel. Okay, so there are 32 on this list, right? So what I'm kind of ranking off of is their character design, their overall improvement, how long we've been seeing them for, have they died, that kind of stuff. Because I feel like their powers can be a part of it, of how people like them. But this video is not like what's the strongest Marvel superhero, because I feel like there's no answer to that. And if you guys want to listen to that, if you guys want me to rank the villains or whatever you guys want me to rank next, please comment below. I have put a lot of effort into this video because you guys asked for it. So yeah. So coming off at number 32 is Wong. And Wong's not necessarily like a bad superhero. He just doesn't come up in the movies enough. And the only time we really see him is in Infinity War and rarely at all in Endgame. And he's also in Shanghai too, but only for parts, where we don't really know a lot about him and we don't know much about Wong, and he hasn't showed any improvement. And we might get more of him in the new Doctor Strange movie, but at this point in time, I just didn't have enough information to go off of. Alright, so number 31 is Nick Fury. I know a lot of people would rank Nick Fury a lot higher on this list because he is the leader of the team. And while that is true, we don't see him enough. We see him a lot in Captain Marvel, and that's really all we see of him. Like, we don't see him enough to know him. And it's kind of the same thing as Wong, is where if I saw him more, I would like him more, but I just don't see him enough to. And he's very smart, so I don't know. Coming in at number 30 is Shuri. If you don't know who Shuri is, she is, and I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, but essentially who she is she's from Wakanda. Yeah. She is known for inventing like great technology. She was the one who tried to remove the Mind Stone from Vision's head. So coming in at number 21 is Okoye. Wait, hang on, I gotta look up how to pronounce it. So I looked it up, and I think her name is pronounced Okoye, but I could be wrong on that. And I actually like this character, but we're getting into some of the better ones up ahead. But she just wasn't my favorite. I really liked how she saved people in Endgame. That part was really cool. But I would have liked to see more from her, especially in the Black Panther movie, because I feel like we saw a lot of her in Endgame, but not as much as Infinity War and Black Panther, which I really would have liked. And if they ever come out with a Black Panther 2, maybe she'll have more of a role, which I would love. Coming in at number 28 is somebody I'm surprised I put this low, and I'm sure you'll be too, and that is Thor. I'm overall just not a fan of Thor. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm not a fan of Thor is because of the way we've seen his character develop, if that makes sense. He went from, if you watch the first Thor movie and the second Thor movie, or the third Thor movie, and compare them, they're two completely different people. In the first Thor movie, it's like a completely different person. And then if you compare him to, say, the guy in Infinity War, he's this one guy that's kind of clueless and wants to party and wants revenge. And this guy is super strong and he still wants revenge, but like he's doing good for himself and others, and he really cares about his brother Loki. And then in Endgame, it really just ruined the character for me. I mean, it was really funny, but I mean, like, it just wasn't it wasn't my cup of tea, because Thor just they kind of changed his character, and I just wasn't a fan of that. Coming in at number 27 is War Machine. I liked War Machine, but I felt like he was too much of a copy of Iron Man, and I felt he was kind of meant to be that. But he didn't have much of a role, if that makes sense. We don't know much about War Machine, and we only know so much about him, and it was really hard to rank him because we don't know a whole lot about him, and more like his own person. Coming in at number 26 is Bucky Barnes. I really liked Bucky, and I really liked how he was a super soldier, and I really liked in the first Captain America his story and that whole thing. What I don't like is they had so much to do with him in the third Captain America and the first one, and then in Infinity War and Endgame we kind of see him go away and he's not there as much. And I mean, he has some funny moments in those movies, but we just don't see him a whole lot, and I wish we would more. Coming in at number 25 is somebody who could probably be on the good list and the bad list, and that's Yondu. I really like Yondu, but I don't like how he was good and then he was bad. And then even when he was good in the second movie, you still didn't know if he was good or bad. Like, you could be thinking, oh, he's gonna betray him. And if you didn't know, everybody knows. He dies, and that's a really sad scene. Just the fact that you couldn't tell if he was good or bad kind of dropped in. And then, yeah, that's Yondu. Coming in at number 24 is Pepper Potts. I don't know that most people would put Pepper Potts on this list, but I do because I really like her. And I think she has a superhero name. I just can't recall what it is. But the reason I would place her here is because we've seen a lot of her progress as a character. She's came from, in the first movie, Iron Man movie, she's just this assistant. In the second movie, she takes more control. In the third movie, she's great. So you just see Pepper get more and more power as the time goes on. And in Endgame, you see this a lot in Pepper, because you see her use the suit finally, and her and Tony have a son, and she has to make sacrifices, or I guess she has to witness Tony dying, and that's one of the hardest things, I'm sure. And I feel like that gives us a lot more respect for Pepper as a character. So that's why I kind of ranked her higher than the other ones. We got a long ways to go, but let's keep going. Yep. Coming in at number 23 is Captain Marvel. I feel like Captain Marvel is super powerful, don't get me wrong, but that's kind of why I dropped her down. She's super cocky, and she saved the Avengers a couple times, but she's like, oh, I can do this on my own. I don't need anybody else's help. She just kind of she doesn't fit with the rest of the team because she just wants to be on her own. And while, yes, she comes in and helps, she only does that in the worst cases, where if she were to stay on Earth, then we would see her a whole lot more, and I feel like that would make me rank her higher. But as of now, I keep her here because I'm just not a fan of her, and I wasn't a fan of her movie. But after seeing WandaVision and that end cutscene, I guess, I think we'll see more from Captain Marvel and Rambo, but I guess we'll see. Coming in at number 22 is Black Panther. I really liked Black Panther, but the reason he's so low on here is because of his introduction. We didn't really get a whole lot of Black Panther's introduction. He was just kind of there. And I would have liked more of a character development towards the beginning. And I know that topic's arguable, but I'm just not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of how his powers, like a lot of Marvel superheroes, their powers just rely on technology. And his is different in a way that's kind of like it's a religion and technology. But I feel like he should be less selfish and be more helpful, because in some cases he's more selfish than helpful. And just a reminder, this is just my opinion, but I'd love to know your top 5 heroes in the description. Coming in at number 21 is Falcon. Falcon's a great hero. He has great powers, and I like that he can fly around. Not many heroes have the ability to fly, and that's great that his is solely based on flying, and he has those cool gadgets that fly around the air, but we just haven't seen enough from Falcon to rank him higher. Coming in at number 20 is Hawkeye. I'm kind of on the edge about Hawkeye. Like, I like him and then I don't like him. And that's why he's right here, because in the first movie, he doesn't get much of an introduction either, and that doesn't even come until later. But he just wasn't my favorite because, like I said earlier, he doesn't have superpowers. He just is good with a bow. And I feel like anybody with a bow can do that. But in this new Hawkeye series that's coming out, it might change my opinion on this. But another thing that dropped him lower was the fact that, like, he lost his family and then he went on, like, a killing streak. And that's, like, that kind of brought it down on me. Like, I just wasn't a fan of that. So, coming in at number 19 is Wasp. I've always liked Wasp and Ant-Man. I've liked her ability to shrink and grow. But Wasp she wasn't as funny as Ant-Man, and it kind of showed. And it showed that her character was more weak than Ant-Man, because Ant-Man's character had been more addressed, and like they just really went over Ant-Man's character. And then when we got to Wasp, it's like, okay, she has some parents, she's got some high-tech stuff, but I wish we saw more of her backstory, and I wish we got to see more of her relationship between Ant-Man. And the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie was really good. Because their powers work together, and I think that that's why they make such a good duo, but I feel like they would clash more with kind of the humor, if that makes sense. And so that's why Ant-Man actually is way higher than Wasp, is because he contributes more than Wasp does to the storyline, if that makes sense. Coming in at number 18 is Loki. So if you guys haven't seen Loki's series on Disney Plus, it's super good, and I recommend it, but it kind of left us off at a cliffhanger, and we know from the Marvel 2021 series that there's going to be a season 2, but I just feel like you've taken it to somewhere that nobody knows where you're going to go with it, and you kind of left it too wide open, and so it just leaves this giant hole. And we're kind of coming into the point of time where it's like multiple universes are colliding, if that makes sense. If you haven't seen Venom, I'm about to spoil for it, so I suggest skipping ahead. But in the second Venom, at the end of the cutscene, you see Venom looking at a screen with Peter Parker on it, meaning Peter Parker, or Venom, might be in the next Peter Parker, or in the next Spider-Man movie, which is really exciting, to be honest. But like, you're combining so many universes because of Loki, and that's why like the next Spider-Man movie and the next Doctor Strange movie, they're all going to be about different universes colliding. And so Loki in this series kind of opened this up to us, where another reason I don't like him is because the real one died. The one we got to see the most progression from, the one that loved his brother, has now died. And we don't know where he stands anymore to the rest of the Avengers. That kind of makes me mad that they ruined that friendship. And yes, he's seen all of it, but he didn't live through it. And so it's gonna bring back the Loki that you never know is good or bad, instead of the one that you never know is good. And so that kind of ruined Loki for me. But if it weren't for that, he would be such higher, because he was a great character before the Loki series. And don't get me wrong, the Loki series is great, but anyways. Coming in at number 17 is Drax. I think Drax is our lowest member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. But the reason he's so low is he really doesn't contribute much. He's funny, and that's really all he is. Sure, he's strong, he's good with knives, but he's really just there for comedic purpose. And that's kind of like the whole plot of Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess. So Drax kind of has no role, and if he had more of one, he would be higher. And I mean, he has a backstory, and I don't feel like they need to go on that with Drax, but I feel like they could have done some cooler things with his powers or his super hero skills, because all he really does now is he's good with knives, and he's like any other basic human, just from another planet. So that's kind of where I have Drax. Coming in at number 16 is Captain America. Most people put Captain America in like the number 1 or number 2 slot, but I put him down here because I was just never a fan. And I know a lot of people are, and I understand why, because he's such an amazing character, and seeing him die was such a sad thing. But he just, in the first movie, was like the only one that I liked of the Captain America movies. But he just, in the first movie, was like the only one that I liked of the Captain America movies. Besides Civil War, but Civil War I feel like should have been an Avengers movie and not a Captain America movie. Sure, it was based on Captain America and Bucky Barnes, but it wasn't solely about Captain America. Like, they had everybody in it, and it wasn't always focused on Captain America. So that's why that one wasn't my favorite. But Captain America kind of... And I just was never a fan of they take this scrawny kid and make him like huge, and now he's super powerful. And I would have liked him more if they made that relationship with Peggy Carter develop more. And that's really cool that they had him go back and dance with her, and that part ranks him way higher for me, because that's just a super like heartfelt moment. But that's kind of where I'm putting Captain America. Hey guys, I'm so sorry, but I had to split this video into 2 parts. This video is just getting too long, and so the next one will pick off right off of where we left off. Thanks so much for watching this week's video, guys. The next one will come out next week. I put a lot of work into this video, so make sure to go down and like it, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!